Welcome to Wallace and Wire. Today, we're talking about the Prime Minister's very decisive, and you could say aggressive, new stance on high-level corruption and smuggling. When you hear the leadership call something an extraordinary effort, to literally save the country and its people, you immediately get a sense that this is, well, it's way beyond business as usual.
It is. It's framing it as a rescue mission, a national rescue mission.
Exactly. Against drug trafficking, against massive smuggling. The language itself, it just ratchets up the intensity, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that language, it also gives us a really crucial piece of context. Prime Minister is making it clear this isn't some new problem that just popped up.
Right.
He's framing it as a failure that's been going on for decades. He pointed pretty directly at past governments and said the reason this wasn't stopped before was, well, a lack of capacity and, more importantly, a lack of political will.
And that lack of will, it comes with a pretty shocking price tag.
Oh, it's staggering.
The figure the Prime Minister put out there was that decades of this has cost the nation hundreds of billions of ringgit.
Hundreds of billions. I mean, you almost have to just stop and let that sink in.
You do.
So,
What is the opportunity cost of that kind of money?
well, that's the whole thing. We're not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet. Hundreds of billions of ringgit. That's money that should have gone into national development.
Into roads, schools, hospitals.
Exactly. Critical infrastructure, better education, healthcare for millions. When you have leakages on that scale, it's not just a financial problem anymore. It really starts to undermine the entire economic foundation of the country.
So to tackle something that big, you need an operation that is, well, inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister admitted as much. He said this is an extremely high-risk initiative for the people involved.
It has to be. Because you're not dealing with, petty criminals here.
Not at all.
These are drug syndicates, massive smuggling networks they're deeply rooted. They've had decades to build their operations, their connections. They have the money and the influence to push back, and push back hard.
Which is why he made a point of thanking the specific agencies on the front lines.
Right. He named them the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, which has to untangle all the graft that lets this happen in the first place.
Then the Inland Revenue Board.
The Inland Revenue Board, yeah, chasing the money, tracing the illicit funds, and of course the Royal Malaysia Police, who are doing the physical enforcement. It's a huge coordinated effort where people are genuinely putting their safety on the line.
Okay, so you have the high risk, you have the stated political will. The big question then becomes, is it working? Is it just tough talk, or are we seeing actual results?
Well, the government is pointing to some very concrete numbers to answer that exact question.
Okay.
The Prime Minister announced that the stricter enforcement measures over just the last 2 years have helped them recover a staggering RM 15.5 billion in revenue.
15.5 billion.
15.5. And that figure, that's being presented as the proof. It's the tangible evidence that this time, the determination is real. It's how they're quantifying that political will he said was missing before.
RM 15.5 billion is a huge recovery. No one can deny that. But if the total loss is in the hundreds of billions, then that number, as big as it is, also tells another story.
It tells you the scale of the problem, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests this is just the very beginning of a monumental cleanup.
That's a great point. It's a massive success, but it could very well be just the tip of the iceberg. We might only be looking at, 2 or 3% of the total leakage they're talking about? It just defines how big the task ahead really is.
Speaking of scale, he brought up a very specific example in Parliament. The problem with shipping containers.
The ports.
Just the sheer volume of goods flowing in and out through containers and how that system was basically being used to funnel illicit goods. I mean, for that to happen, it can't just be a few bad apples, can it?
Absolutely not. You don't lose billions through a few rogue containers. That points directly to a systemic failure. You're talking about complicity at a very high level in port management, customs, inspections.
Someone has to be looking the other way.
Or actively helping. To move that much contraband without it being flagged, you either need stunning negligence or, more likely, deep-seated corruption that ensures those containers are just waved through. It suggests the rot is woven right into our key economic gateways.
And this is where it gets really political, because after announcing these successes, this RM 15.5 billion recovery, the Prime Minister turned his attention to Parliament itself, specifically to certain individuals and the opposition.
Yes, he called it a political silence.
What did he mean by that?
He basically said that when the enforcement agencies are having these major successes, dismantling these massive criminal rings, he's hearing crickets from the other side. He noted that in the parliamentary debates, all the support was coming from his own government backbenchers.
While the opposition benches were quiet.
Completely quiet, according to him. And you have to ask, what's the political thinking behind that? I mean, when the nation recovers billions of dollars that were stolen, shouldn't that be something everyone gets behind?
You would think so.
The implication he's making is that the silence suggests either they don't care about the success of anti-corruption work, or maybe it's just a tactical choice not to praise the government for anything, even something that's good for the country.
So it's an attempt to draw a line in the sand, politically.
It is. It's saying, we are fighting to get the nation's money back, and we're taking notes on who's supporting that fight and who isn't.
So this fight for financial security is clearly front and center. But what's interesting is that the Prime Minister's vision for the country doesn't seem to stop there. It's not just about clawing back lost ringgit.
That's a really important connection to make, because at the same time all this is happening, he was also speaking at the 2025 Malaysian International Higher Education Islamic Studies Conference.
Completely different topics.
Seemingly. But it's about another kind of security. Not financial, but intellectual. He laid out a strategy for modernizing a whole field of study.
He was talking about technology, right?
Exactly. He made a very strong, very clear call for students of Islamic education to embrace the latest technology, specifically artificial intelligence.
AI. So not just using computers, but really integrating AI.
Yes, and he framed it as a strategic necessity. AI isn't just a tool to him. He sees it as a vital new way to promote and apply Islamic knowledge in the 21st century.
That's a huge shift.
Yeah.
That implies changing how things are taught.
It's a complete overhaul. He's calling for cross-disciplinary courses that bake AI directly into Islamic studies, using AI for deep textual analysis, for comparative studies, for translation. It's about making sure the next generation of scholars are as fluent in technology as they are in theology.
So you've got this two-pronged approach. On one hand, you're fighting this very immediate high-stakes battle to recover stolen billions and fix a broken system. And on the other, you're trying to build this long-term intellectual capacity for the future.
It's a clear message. The era of financial leakage is over, and so is the era of intellectual stagnation. The fight against corruption is for Malaysia's economic future, and this push for AI in education is for its intellectual future on the world stage.
So we're seeing this, what he calls an extraordinary effort, to reclaim potentially hundreds of billions of ringgit, with RM 15.5 billion already back in the coffers, and at the same time, a blueprint for a technological leap forward in education. It really is a campaign on two fronts.
It is, and it brings up a really interesting question, I think, for you listening. When the nation's leaders launch these incredibly high-risk operations, and they actually show success recovering billions for the country, what level of unified support should they expect? I mean, from everyone, across the entire political spectrum, regardless of party.
That's a powerful thought to end on, especially in today's political climate. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.